Whoa. That would be a cool stream intro. Oh. God damn it. Should I be bigger? Would you love me if I was big? Hello. W's in the shot. I want to try something a little different today and do a sort of little story time, like diving deep into my lyrics type beat, which I thought could be kind of fun. I'm gonna start because this is gonna go on YouTube. I'm just gonna like explain who I am. Hi to anyone who doesn't know who I am. My name is Susie. I was born in a little town. Got signed to a very big New York label, and I got chucked because they had no budget. Everyone was panicking. Any new artists that weren't making the money already were gone. I was fucked. I was kind of fucked because I was like relying on that money to live in New York, which obviously is very expensive. It's even more expensive than London. So I was freaking the fuck out, man. I kind of knew I was cooked, but I was like, I'm going to enjoy my time here. They got me a fucking long ass visa. And I had quite a bit of money in the bank, so I was like, fake your W's where you got them. And then like a week later, I'm just chilling, and then I get this email come through that kind of saved my ass. And it said, we don't know if this is confirmed, but we have got a message from Apple Marketing that says that you are going to be the next global iPhone advert. They said, don't cross your fingers. It was quite a large sum of money, nearly as big as my record deal. And that's kind of the story of how I got the ad. I mean, like I found out, I think it was even later than that, like a year later, I found out that it was true. It was confirmed. I was so excited because I was like, free promo. I think that was the main thing on my mind. Like the money was nice. The being able to leave my label without it being devastating was really nice. But the nicest thing of all was the fact that I knew that way more people would hear the song that I had made. That was really, really exciting for me. It's going to get pushed globally, right? Somebody is going to want to hear it and listen to it. Somebody is going to resonate with it. Then I popped it up on YouTube. And it did well. And it's finally on 1 million views, which I thought is nice for me to see. I said thanks so much for 1 million views on Eat Them Apples. It's so nice to see all your comments and support. When I made this song, I never would have guessed it would be in so many things and heard by so many people all over the world. Thanks to you. If everyone who reads this subscribes, hopefully we can reach new heights. They didn't. All my love. Susie. The comments were overwhelmingly positive. This is probably one of my favorites. This guy said that it's his theme for his D&D character, half orc bard. I used to play orc on World of Warcraft. That was like my whole jam, so I really liked that. And then lots of comments about, I heard this in this, I heard this in this. It was in a lot of things. It was in a lot of things chat. People were saying cool shit. They were saying nice things. Then I looked a little bit closer. I started noticing a very specific type of comment coming up from certain communities that I just like had not expected to see. So I want to show you that. Some of my favorites I've compiled here. This was the kind of shit that I was seeing daily on the song when it first came out. Squiggly Peterson 7157 said blasphemy. Hero Brian said pure evil song. You'll want to talk, Hero Brian. This one, so sad. How nice song melody like this. Wasted for message against God. God, you are talent, but you didn't use for the good purpose. Even Adam and Eve prayed for forgiveness, and God forgived you. You're a nice girl. I hope you find the right way. Afterlife, even Lucifer. He will say, you're not my daughter. Lol. Peace. I was confused, to say the least, chat. I was like, what the fuck is occurring? Like, why is my song evoking this reaction from people? I guess it is about Eve, which we'll get into, like, what it is actually about in a sec. But I didn't think that just by solely mentioning the origin myth that people would assume my song was blasphemous. So this was really interesting to me. Wow, I like the music, but the words sounds like she's got beef with God. This song is about how Eve was super above Adam. So she ate the apple so we all could die? Compared to some of the other comments that I get on the video, they're kind of more on the nose as to what it's about. It has biblical symbolism, but people were overall very confused. So I thought like it was kind of an interesting one. Susie's making biblical songs now. Yeah, well, so a very religious community noticed the song because of apples. Yeah. This is some Illuminati Apple shit. One of the reasons and one of the theories I have that people are so stressed about what this song could mean, I think I've noticed this with any artist. If you are an artist who gets a break or a deal or something, people come out of the woodwork to call you the Illuminati, biblical imagery in your stuff, or because you're doing like some... I really want to do this. See, that's the kind of shit that they'll clip. And then they'll be like, look, this is her humiliation ritual. If you are someone that like this is actually something that scares you, things like the Illuminati scare you, you know, you think that that's real. Which, can I just say, guys, there's real shit going on in your House of the Parliament, in your emails to back it up, to prove it. And you're pretending that there's other thing. I don't know, bro. Just like, you don't have to conspiratorially think about it anymore. It's happening. What's not happening is like your small artists from the north of England who get fucking emails randomly in their inbox saying you got an Apple ad because, you know, you've been on a big label and I guess they heard about you. They are not part of the circle. And like a lot of the big artists that you listen to aren't either. And I know that like a lot of the reasons that you guys think that they are is because you got people like Lil Nas X and he's like pole dancing into hell and stuff. Doja Cat dressing up as a demon. That one was kind of weird, but I do think that like religious symbolism is a really potent thing to write about. It's a really potent thing to make iconography of. Look at the Sistine Chapel, drawings of the Old Testament, the Prince of Egypt. There's a reason that people, the entirety of history, make art out of religion, because it's one of the oldest stories of all time. It's a good ass story. That is all there is to it. If you are a writer and you enjoy writing, you'll write about angels, probably. I'm loving angels instead. This person says, I think you should lean into it. Include messages when one of your songs plays backwards. Yeah, it's very Satanic Panic. If you guys don't know what Satanic Panic is a moral panic consisting of over 12,000 unsubstantiated cases of satanic ritual abuse starting in North America in the 80s and spread throughout many parts of the world in the late 90s, persisting today, which I would agree with. It originated with the publication of Michelle Remembers, a book by a Canadian psychiatrist and his patient, which used the controversial and now discredited, for anyone who doesn't know what that means proven wrong, not real, a lie, practice of recovered memory therapy to make claims about satanic ritual abuse involving this woman. This specifically relates to the fact that people very, very high up in the president and stuff, and all these people have been found to be bad people. I don't think that means they're Satanists. I think it just means that they're not good fucking people, I'm afraid, guys. I trust that y'all are smarter than this. I really do. Overall, I trust that most people on the planet have the ability to discern between what is real and what is fake. Please prove me right. Y'all, this song isn't safe. It's bad. It's bad. That Aaron Yeager. Hero Brian and Aaron Yeager. Bro, this shit's crazy. This song is pure evil. I liked this comment. I said agreed. That really scared people. I do actually kind of regret that. If that scared you, I'm sorry. Whoa. This song lyrics are saying, I will eat the apple, which was eaten by Adam and Eve, and destroy the earth. What the fuck? Illuminati. Can't say I feel like it is Christian music. Mad you hear Eve and Adam mean first the way these people got spelled. I can't, dude. Mad you hear, I can feel my brain atrophying as I read this. Mad you hear Eve and Adam mean first person in our world, so this is cured demonic and the songwriter is Illuminati. Jesus is Lord. I have no issues with that. Jesus is Lord. Like, fair enough, man. Jesus is Lord. I agree. Jesus is Lord. Listening to the lyrics of this song. It's catchy on purpose, so you sing it and manifest negativity. No wonder they'd use this song. I don't want you to manifest. Please don't manifest negativity on my behalf. I have enough shit going on in my own life, okay? Please don't do that. This is straight up demonic. You guys can't see. Open your eyes. Realize. Honestly, everybody's so blind. And this guy just says, this is some heat. This is real satanic stuff. This is my favorite one. Oh, no, it's not this one. There's one coming up that's my favorite. Okay, I'm not the only one that thinks it's fucked up they use this for an Apple commercial, right? The song is about betraying God and taking a bite out of the forbidden apple. This furthers the conspiracy that Apple, the company, wants you to choose them over God. Supposedly, Apple is the sin that destroyed us. This makes the song meta. I think this is actually kind of an interesting take, and I don't hate it. Like, it's not true. It certainly wasn't my intention, but I don't know. Nice analysis, I guess. That's not what the song is about. Don't choose your own spirituality over tech. This is my favorite one. I mean, I like this song when I put it on Apple Music. Banging in AirPods Pro. Then throwing my iPhone on the bed before syncing the song to my kitchen HomePod and living room. Apple TV for the whole house to join in the mood. Then, someone's upping the volume using HomeKit tech. And we all froze up together in the living room looking at each other after the song's over. Did you hear that? Did you hear how obvious the song is about biblical stuff? Wait, did you hear how apples are gonna be eaten? Did you? Then how the sins are gonna now be committed without any problem over and over. Couldn't be clearer until you see the video. Snake, apples, and snakes and apples. Let alone how obvious the lyrics are. Okay. It's just the best. It's a masterpiece, dude. It's a masterpiece. I just can't. That's my favorite. Whoever wrote that, I love you. It's the most dramatic thing I've ever read. It's not, once again, nothing to do with my intention. I'm Catholic. I don't like the lyrics, just the beat. Beat is hard. I'll give you that. This is so scary. Not for nothing, but what apples is she talking about? If you are somebody who wonders why Apple used this song, it's clearly not my fault for not making things more on the nose. But yeah, reason one is it's a good song. I wrote it. Would be weird if I didn't think it was a good song. I do think it's a very good song. Reason two, it has Apple in the song name. I think, call me crazy, but I do think that might be why they used it in the Apple ad. Sometimes brand alignment. As a queer person who was rejected by their father, the line, "I'm not your daughter, not quite what you wanted," hits me in such a powerful and bittersweet way. But it actually makes me feel super empowered. This is touching a little bit more about what this song is actually supposed to be about, which is female emancipation. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's pretty much it. Blasphemy, pure evil. Let's talk about it. What is the song actually about? There's a poet that I really like. Her name's Carol Ann Duffy. She was the poet laureate, which is a thing we have in England. It is basically every, I can't remember how many years it is, 4 to 8 years, kind of like the president, we have a poet in residence who writes poetry for the nation. It's super fucking cool. I think that every place on the planet hopefully does have this. They should. Carol Ann Duffy wrote a really good series of poems imagining myths that involve, well, most myths involve men, like Greek myths, fairy tales, all sorts of things, through the eyes of a woman, through the female gaze. Is just fantastic to me. I thought that was such an interesting idea. What if you are to write something that's you're not shoehorning it in, we're not talking about some boring Netflix diversity shit. It's just a fun little exercise. Write this story from a different character's perspective. Write the Herculean myth from Hera's perspective. Write King Midas from his wife's perspective. What would you do if, your husband came home and everything he touched, he turned to gold? Would you let him smash? Be honest. I remember reading these poems when I was about 14 or 15, and they really struck me as interesting and stuck with me, and it was always something that I wanted to try my hand at. So once I got a little bit better at writing, by the time I was about 18, I started realizing that I kind of wanted to write about the origin myth, and I love Genesis. I know that seems like a weird thing to say, but I really loved the story of Genesis. I think it's such a trippy, interesting thing. I think it's one of the first examples of amazing poetry. It's one of the first examples of an origin myth. And as someone who really likes action movies, a lot of my stuff I write is based on action movies. I loved the idea of Eve as a goddess, her origin myth. But there's things that I also don't like about the story of Genesis and the way it's told in the modern day. Guys, I'm a bit of a history buff, and I know a little bit about theological history, not as much as I would say I know about history in general, but I do know a bit. And I know that the Bible has been written and rewritten many, 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 many times. The first texts that you can find of the Bible are the Gnostic texts. And then from then on, it just gets rewritten and rewritten and rewritten. And a lot of the people that could write, who were allowed to learn how to write, were clergy, and they were men. They were monks. And I don't know if you know much about men that choose to be celibate and live in castles together and have little meetings where they wear important robes. But they don't tend to be the biggest fans of females, femoids. They are the ones that penned and repenned the Bible. And we can track this. I'm sure there's many, many people who study at all sorts of universities, study theology, that can back me up on this. But the Genesis myth is a very old myth. Just slaps so hard, dude. I love the way it starts. There was the Word, and the Word was God. It's just bars, man. It talks about the Garden of Eden and all the trees he made grow out the ground, trees that were pleasing to the eye and good for food. And in the middle of the garden were the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. I find that like so interesting because it's like, why did he do that? He said you can eat from any tree in the garden, but don't fucking eat from that tree. That's the really big shiny one. If you eat from it, you'll die. That really just like woke my imagination up, because the whole idea of original sin, I remember reading the story when I was younger, and I really, really loved the story of the garden and the angel with the fucking flaming sword. Like, it's such a liminal environment. It's such a nice state to imagine, I guess. It's like being on holiday and just being nude with someone you really like, and that's like kind of all you know. Could be a metaphor for a time before we were fully conscious, fully sentient, I think. You know, the lack of clothing, the lack of understanding about what you can eat and can't eat kind of give like prehistory. I sort of felt like it was a little bit unfair, much like the story of Pandora's box, and first story that you're supposed to read in the Bible. Basically, we teach you that the women are responsible for all evil in the world. I first read this story when I was 6. I don't think it's healthy for little girls to read a story, or little boys, about how women are responsible for every evil on the planet. Now, if that's something that you believe, you can miss me with that shit. But if it is something you believe, like, I can't stop you, obviously, so don't get your knickers in a twist. But what I will say, I don't believe that. I don't like that. I think it's so unfair as well. Eve is clearly smarter than Adam. She doesn't necessarily immediately take at face value that she can eat from every tree in a garden, and her creator would put one tree in that poisons her for some reason. She's interested. She's curious. She's curious. She was just born too. She was just born too. It's her fucking first. She was born yesterday, you know, and she's a curious person. So I like to look at her more as like the start of curiosity. And then, of course, when she eats the apple, she gets knowledge, right? Bites into it, and then she gains the first knowledge. She gains the knowledge that she's naked. She gains the knowledge of like where she is, what's going on, and morality. Good and evil. She can finally understand the beginnings of morality. What a fascinating story that could be for a little girl to understand about herself. You know, okay, it wasn't the right thing to do. She disobeyed an order. But she didn't know, like, it's a paradox, right? How can you disobey an order when you have no ability to understand what an order is? Can't even know she's doing evil because she's eating the apple. Like, she can't know until she's eaten the apple. So it's like a complete paradox. So she eats this apple and she becomes the first person to ever have consciousness. That's so cool to write about. If you're religious, you're listening to this, you're like, I don't care, this is evil. Just think about it from my perspective as an author, as a writer. How interesting of an idea it is to be the first person to gain consciousness because you bit into a fruit. It's fascinating! Have you read his Dark Materials? I love how Pullman retells Adam and Eve's story and makes Eve the hero or the good person, like very similar to what you're talking about. Yes, I absolutely love that story. This is what I mean. It's like these stories get retold and retold, you know, and like, that's okay. No one's saying that you have to change your mind on like the way that you like the story, but you have to understand that it is a story. People interpret the Bible in different ways. And I'm telling you now, if you're a Mormon husband or something watching this, who like hates me or whatever, please go to your wife and ask her, what are some things in the Bible that you think you would interpret differently from me? Because I promise you that as a girl, there are things in there that she gets out of it that maybe like aren't what you get out of it. People quote Bible quotes at each other, right, when they're religious, because the preacher or pastor or whoever is saying, you know, this really relates to this situation. Maybe you haven't thought about it like this. That's all I'm doing. That's all I'm doing. Same thing. And on that note, we're going to go through it. I've got it up on Genius. We're going to have a little look at the lyrics. I hope this is giving you some peace of mind. I got a new vocation. It's my absurd creation. Myth of creation, right? She's got a new vocation. She's just been born. You give me love and I can give you forms of recreation. That was me feeling a little bit disillusioned with once she gains knowledge. I was just turning 18. I was starting to realize there was some dark things in life about sexualization and the way that people think about you. So a lot of men think about women as evil. So they think, oh, if I give her my love, she will give me these forms of recreation. In bonus level mode, just a sick line. I shake the skin and bone. Just a sick line. Some origin myth shit. She's just got her skin and bones, right? I'm far too crazy. Want to see your favorite episode. I just like the wordplay on that. I wanted to put that in somewhere for a while. Oh, I'm not your daughter. You have to remember, this is a story from her perspective. So like, I'm being her. She's not talking to God. She's talking to all the men that have rewritten her story since, right? Imagine Eve waking up and she's reading the past millennia of like shit that has been like said about herself, and she's like, what the fuck, I need to drop a track right now because like no one gets me. So she's like, I'm not your daughter, I'm not quite what you ordered, crossing all your borders, freeing lambs from all the slaughter. This is the idea that she's crossing the border between paradise and the world that we live in now. She's stood on both sides. Also talking about Jesus and how he was a refugee. You know, he was a human too. He lived in the world that she created afterwards. With an even Adam, you get up and Adam. That's essentially the kind of people in the YouTube comments. You're saying all this stuff about this creation myth, but you don't seem to be able to interpret it in any other way than the way that you understand. I'm going to eat the apple. I'm going to eat the apple. Everything's taboo and it's been broken into two. It's just kind of saying that, like, if you take away innocence from somebody, they're going to seem taboo to you if you are searching for innocence. But if you have chosen to take it away in your mind, like, of course it's going to be something that's taboo to you. Talking about God shouldn't be taboo. I should be allowed to talk about fucking God. Everyone should be allowed to talk about God if they want to talk about God. It's not just for you. Don't be selfish. Oh, I'm not your daughter, blah, 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 blah. Got some reservations. I play you like PlayStation vibes. Just sounds cool. You've run around to find my sound, but you got no replacement. If I was playing in the beginning, that was the word, right? And you've no replacement because she just started existing. You speak me like the word. So you speak me like the word of God. Talk about me like you are the person who can decide that about me, like you are God. But all your speech is slurred because you're not God. You can call me any name. It's nothing that I haven't heard. She's been alive she's been in mythos 4,000 to 5,000 years. There's nothing that she hasn't been called, right? I'm gonna eat that apple. I'm gonna eat that apple. I really felt like explaining that. Really long overdue. I'm not a Satanist. I super promise. What else can I say that I haven't said already? Oh, women. I wanted to say that I did get some messages from women that were really interesting, like that queer girl. And I got one from a girl who said that she was running away from a cult that had, taken her passport and raised her there for a very long time. And she was trapped there. Not a good place. Actually, a place where there was rampant violence. And she left and she listened to my song the whole time that she was preparing to leave, because it gave her the strength and energy to feel like it was something she should do. In the essence, that's exactly what I wanted the song to be about. I wanted little girls to be able to listen to something about the creation myth and feel like they deserve to learn, to understand if they're naked or if they're clothed. They deserve to exist on a level with the planet. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. So that's all I really have to say about that. Drop a like, drop a comment, tell me more about snake, apples, and snakes, apple. Yeah, I just